way of life living out on the orchard in the countryside is wonderful. Our kids growing up with all this different kinds of fruit, they can go out and eat, 4 or 5 different kinds of fruit at one time of the year. I mean, that's pretty cool. If I had that as a kid growing up, that would be pretty cool, I think. It basically started with not wanting to deal with chemicals. The whole idea of chemicals to me is sort of the easy way out. They're there to make a job easier, and that's great, but what are the impacts of chemicals? And it's a lot more manual to do things organic. We can't spray Roundup or any other herbicide to get rid of the weeds. So how do you do that? Well, you can either weed by hand, or you put landscape fabric down, or put mulch down. All of this is very time consuming and labor intensive. We can't spray for grasshoppers. We can't spray pesticides. So how do you deal with grasshoppers? Well, we've come up with a way how to deal with grasshoppers so they don't eat our trees, they eat something else. We grow apricots here, and a lot of people are surprised that we can grow apricots in Saskatchewan, but they're quite delicious. They are smaller than what you buy in the stores or what come from BC or California, but they're quite concentrated in flavor. They actually taste a lot better than what you will buy in the store. You just got to eat 2 or 3 of them compared to one big apricot in the store. So there's a lot of really good quality fruit we can grow here. Just the size, people have to kind of get over the fact that they're small. It's like wild blueberries or wild strawberries. Lots of concentrated flavor, and in these guys they're excellent. Here we've got peaches and nectarines and BC cherries, European plums like those prune plums, California apricots, Ontario apricots. A lot of fruit you cannot grow here, and part of the philosophy of Over the Hill Orchards is to produce fruit you don't normally find in the prairies. So here we've got a beautiful peach that's getting ripe. This peach is from Ontario, so growing in Saskatchewan, you can see lots of nice green growth. There's very little disease in our climate. It's so dry typically, although this year has not been that dry, but it's still very clean. In Ontario, it's so humid, hot and humid all the time that they have to spray quite a bit for fungus and all that. Being a computer programmer and growing up in the city did not give me any insight into what it takes to have an organic fruit orchard. And being organic as well, that's a whole nother level of difficulties and knowledge that you must attain. So unlike the Okanagan or the Niagara regions, your neighbor isn't a fruit grower, so a lot of it came trial by error, just working with people over the internet from Siberia, Manchuria, California, Estonia, a lot of different people we interact with. I didn't quit my job as a programmer because for the first 5 years your trees are growing, they're not producing anything, so there's a lot of money going out and no money coming in. So I continued to work for 5 years as a programmer, and Sylvia for about 7 years as a travel agent, and then a couple years ago Sylvia basically stopped going into the city and worked full-time here. And so no, it's definitely there's a lot more involved than just sort of planting trees and waiting 5 years until your fruit comes. These eaves troughs were destined for the landfill, and being organic, this kind of works a little bit towards the same goals of kind of minding the earth. So we're growing strawberries that are out of New York State, and we're growing these and almost hydroponically. The benefits of this system is we can pick at this height, we're not picking off the ground. There's a lot less disease because the actual fruit here is not touching the ground. Weeding, again, is very easy at nice height, and we basically we irrigate through a drip irrigation system here, and the eaves troughs are on a slight angle, so it drips down there and eventually percolates all the way down to the bottom. A lot of the work I do at the orchard here is fruit breeding, so that's basically trying to create say a seedless grape that is hardy for the prairies, because the grapes that grow in Saskatchewan, the wild grapes, they're very small, very tart, and they're seeded. So when I cross this grape here with our hardy grapes, hopefully the children of that cross will have large fruit size, and then I'll take that seedling and cross it with seedless grapes to hopefully bring that into the picture. So you have a large seedless grape that's hardy. And this whole process may take 4 to 5 years with grapes. With apricots, 6 to 7. With peaches, to have a hardy peach, that might take 30, 40 years, or it may fail. That's all the excitement and the wonder of fruit breeding. You never know what you're going to get. I think the biggest challenge now being organic is actually getting consumers and people to understand what it means to be organic and what we do go through to be organic and why we feel it's important. And that is the biggest hurdle, because all of our costs are much higher than a conventional orchard, a lot more manual. So when our products are, the same price or a little bit higher than what you may find in the store, there's a reason for that. But consumers, not all consumers understand that or even agree with it. So I think that right now that is our biggest hurdle and our biggest challenge. So here we have Carmine Jewel. This is a cherry that was released from the university in '99. And it gets about nickel to quarter in size, 3 to 5 grams. And we're hand harvesting these ones today. This particular area of the orchard we use for our chocolate covered cherries. So when we use our harvester, it's quite rough on the cherries. These cherries here are just used for our chocolate, so we hand pick them at a certain time so they have a lot of flavor at the right time, the right sugar levels and acid levels, and these are destined for our chocolates.
Dark chocolate.
Good. Thank you very much.
They're quite juicy.
Today we're in the cherry store, which is called Prairie Cherry Corner, which is located at 20A 2nd Avenue in Lumsden. And it's a little retail location where people can come in and buy all of our fantastic products, but they can also sit down and have a slice of cherry pie, a cheesecake, a cherry sundae, any of our fantastic desserts. Probably our most popular product is our chocolate covered cherries, and the reason being is that they're all organic, but there's no preservatives, no additives, and there's no white fondant or paste in the middle. So when people bite into it, they're biting into a whole fresh cherry with cherry juice covered in chocolate. Fantastic. So the cherries have been placed into the molds now, and so then once they're completed, then we just wipe off the excess cherry juice. And now we're going to cover them, which will create the bottom layer of the chocolate. So our store here roughly makes about 40,000 chocolates a year. My area of expertise is the sales, the marketing, and then the production, which is the making of all the products. We're hoping in the future to have some really newer, unique products that are different for Saskatchewan. So our product line covers not just chocolates anymore, but jams, pies. The products are special because they're all organic, they're all low in sugar, yet they're very flavorful. So the people who try our products are quite blown away by the quality and taste and the flavor. It usually costs you double the cost to produce an organic product compared to a conventional product. So for example, a jar of jam would cost you double to get it from field to the farmer's market table, whether it's traditional versus organic. The cost that you can charge people is only $1 to $2 more for that product. So you're never going to get your return on being organic. And so the reasons you do it are not financial. The reasons that we choose to be organic are something that is more from our soul and something that we feel is correct to do.
You have to start somewhere, and if I start growing organically and my neighbor sees what I'm doing and goes along with that and starts to grow organically there, then you can start a movement where pesticides could, one day be a thing of the past.
We definitely don't do it for financial reasons. We both left our well-paying city jobs so that we could focus fully on this, which is basically our passion. This is our love, and this is what we want to do, and we want to have our business succeed and fulfill a really unusual or different market in Saskatchewan.